Okay, what's up, everybody? Today I am here with Peter Gurr. He is the founder of the Wise token yet again. Now, you guys might have remembered that I did a video similar to this on my other channel, but it was not saved. So we're just going to go ahead and go for a second time, and we can see some updated things that has been going on with Wise token as well. So without further ado, I'm just going to introduce Peter. You can tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are, what Wise token is all about, and that kind of thing.
Hey, thanks for having me. So yeah, my name is Peter. Like you said, I am from a military background, and I'm also a real estate entrepreneur here in Los Angeles, California. Got into cryptocurrencies about 3 years ago and was really excited by blockchain technology. The specific thing about blockchain technology that's exciting to me is the cryptography of the trustlessness. And so really excited about that technology. And as soon as staking came out, I was just looking for a good place to buy cryptocurrency and stake it that was going to give me a return on my investment. And unfortunately, I couldn't find that. Like there's plenty of options out there if you want to stake, but they didn't look very efficient or very good to me. And so eventually what I ended up doing is putting together a team and creating a staking platform the way I think it should be done. And I'm pretty excited about it. We're going to launch later this year. November 11th is our first day of launch.
Very good, very good. So I'm glad to hear it's actually coming up pretty soon. A lot of people have been hearing this on the background, but that day is soon approaching.
Yeah, and we're actually going to open up the contract before that. So like November 11th is going to be the first day that tokens are distributed and that people can actually buy them and know how much you're buying. But as far as sending Ethereum to our contract, it's going to be open as soon as our audits are complete. So you can see how much activity is being generated, how I think it'll be interesting to see how many people actually already send in their Ethereum before it's even the first day, and what kind of excitement we can generate.
Very cool. So we were just talking about this earlier right before I started recording. We're looking right at the website right here, and it looks like you have a Ropsten demo available. So I guess you can kind of test the platform out right now. Is that what that means?
Yeah. If you switch over to the Ropsten test network and you have Ethereum there, you could actually send it to the contract. We have a live version of the liquidity transformer phase on Ropsten, so you can test it out. You can see how it works. Everything still is going through audit, so you might even be able to find a loophole or a bug. I know a couple people have pointed out some things already that we've already fixed, but basically it's there for anybody to test and see how it works and get comfortable with the feel.
Very good. So I'll probably definitely be doing some sort of video to like show people how it works and test it myself.
So just
Yeah.
one thing about that though, the website doesn't have 100% linked capability yet. So don't use the regular referral, or excuse me, the regular reservation reserve Wise page. You got to use the quick Wise little window. That's the only thing that's actually linked. Otherwise, you can just use Etherscan, and that works too.
Okay, cool. I'll remember that. All right, so second question. What are some key reasons why you think this token stands out better than its similar competitors? I know HEX is another token that does similar staking. So what are some reasons why you think that this is better than that or anything else that's similar to that?
Yeah, so I actually made the final decision to actually build this token myself after getting heavily invested into HEX, and I like the HEX framework for staking. It's a very well-designed staking aspect of the token, but what I didn't like is the origin address and the flush address. I felt that was really greedy, and I think that for a token to be successful long term, it really needs to be something that's more like a nonprofit, where everybody that makes money from the success of the token itself, not from a huge upfront founder's fee. So the first part about why Wise would be better compared to these tokens would be because we have no founder's fee. All of the Ethereum that gets sent in, that is going onto the decentralized exchange. So that's going to form the liquidity pool. And then the other thing that really sets us apart is that ownerless liquidity pool that gets created through our entire liquidity transformer launch phase. So just in case that wasn't clear to some people watching, basically what's happening, we're going to have 50 days of launch where we have about 50 million Ys available. You could buy it for 50 days, and however much Ethereum you sent in, it's going to be distributed to you proportionally. So if you send in more Ethereum, you're going to get more. And so 50 days, about 1 million Ys each a day. And then once that is complete, that 50 million Ys gets distributed, but the Ethereum that was collected by the contract gets paired with another roughly 50 million Ys, and then that gets sent to a decentralized exchange, Uniswap, to form the liquidity pool. But all this is done by the contract. There's no admin keys. The contract holds like all of that Ethereum, and then when it sends it to Uniswap, the liquidity tokens, which are like the keys to access that liquidity, it sends to a burn address. So what we're creating is a massive ownerless liquidity pool, which it backs the investment of the owners in the first place, but it also is just allows people to be able to cash out their gains and trade back and forth between Ys and Ethereum with a huge big pot of ownerless liquidity. And so there's been a couple other projects that do have ownerless liquidity. I don't think any of them will have nearly as much as we do, but also the significance of what we're doing is that we're not pre-mining any of the tokens. We're not pre-buying, like we're not sending it to Uniswap and then buying 30% of the supply immediately, like some of these other projects do. It is completely fair for anybody who's investing. So for instance, if you put more money into the actual launch of buying Ys than I do, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that will, because I'm not a multimillionaire, then you will have more Ys than I do. And I think this is the only way to create a token that has the potential to become something a lot bigger than anything else we're seeing right now, is to do it fairly. And I still think, even though that we're doing it fairly, everybody who participates will be able to see great returns. So that's kind of a long answer to your question, but that's the two major things that I think sets us apart from everything else I'm seeing on the market now.
Great, awesome. Yeah, so that's kind of one of the reasons why Wise kind of resonated with me, was because I also had the same issue with Hex. The fact that it's not really trustless. You have to trust the creator a lot more than I would be comfortable trusting. And like the way that Wise is set up, it just seems like you're kind of combating that and trying to make it as decentralized as kind of realistically possible.
Yeah, I think it's kind of counterintuitive, because everybody that's in crypto is basically in crypto to make money, and me too. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think I could make a lot of money doing it. So it's kind of counterintuitive to realize that in order to really make a lot of money, the entire foundation of the system has to be different than what we're seeing right now, because people in crypto have been burnt continuously over and over again by pump and dumps, by scammy projects, by inefficient projects. And if we're really going to create something that has the potential to get a lot bigger than what crypto is right now, it has to be something that is genuinely useful and fair for everybody, because why else would anybody use it? Right now, the reason why people are putting millions and billions of dollars into cryptos that are inefficient and scammy is because they don't know any better. If they did know better, then they wouldn't. And because there are enough people that are smart and educated enough to understand, oh, that's a bad project, there's no potential for those things to get big. The only way, I think, to be able to have mass crypto adoption is from a completely fair system that is extremely useful and easy to use.
Okay, so I guess another question I can ask you is, how long has this token been in development? So how long have you been drumming up this idea?
Well, I it wasn't until about uh, this January actually where I decided, you know what, it's time to actually create this thing. It never really would have occurred to me as a possibility before. And the reason why is because I didn't feel like all the pieces were there to be able to make a viable financial ecosystem. The thing that kind of was the last puzzle piece that kind of clicked into place was Uniswap, decentralized exchanges, and these big liquidity pools. And really, when you take blockchain technology and then you also have the component of a liquidity pool, I just realized that the the most valuable thing a cryptocurrency could ever have is a large pool of liquidity. But even more valuable than that is if that pool of liquidity were not owned by anybody, were ownerless, because you can trust the cryptography of the actual smart contract to be decentralized. You don't have to worry about that messing up or stealing your money or doing something you don't know that it's going to do, because it's blockchain technology. But exchanges are another thing. If somebody owned that liquidity, they could pull it, and then that'd be like pulling the rug out from under you. You wouldn't have anywhere to cash out anymore. So I believe pairing the cryptography and the trustlessness of smart contracts with a huge ownerless liquidity pool that's all the pieces you need to be able to make a viable financial ecosystem, because that's all that people want, right? They want to be able to cash out their money. If you have widgets, you want to be able to cash out your widgets into US dollars or euros or whatever currency you're using to be able to buy stuff. And so there's plenty of other cryptocurrencies that might even be fantastic projects where it's like, okay, well, if widgets were a viable currency and usable everywhere, this would be a great system. But since there's no liquidity pool, there's no market for me to trade out into actual money that I use, then the project is worth a lot less. So having that massive liquidity pool that Wise is going to have, I think is going to be huge for us. And the fact that it's created as a fair system, I really think we're going to raise the bar on what it takes to create a successful crypto after this.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree. Like I've run into that issue in the past before with like low liquidity, where I buy too much of it, and then there's not enough liquidity to be able to sell it, or like I would change the price too much. So that is an important factor. I do think so as well. Additionally, so I guess another question that you sort of answered this, but I guess you can kind of go over it in a shorter version if you want. Is this project going to be a long-term thing that you're working on? Because a lot of people are used to seeing Uniswap's coins just come and go. So what's kind of the long-term benefits of holding the Wise token?
Sure. So yeah, Wise was, its whole idea is a long-term idea. Like I want Wise to be still viable 20 years down the road, and for people still to be making returns in Wise, and interest from staking 20, 50, like who knows, even 100 years down the road. Even if finances change in 100 years, I want the system to still work. So because we have this massive ownerless liquidity pool, it is long term. So, for instance, some of these other pump and dump tokens on Uniswap, because there's no liquidity there, some whale can come in and pump the price, cash out, dump the price, and then why would anybody else buy after that? After the price has crashed, and then the token just pretty much dies until maybe some other whale tries to pump it again down the future. But long term, there's just no reason to buy that token. There is always going to be a reason to buy Wise, because one, it has provable value. Because when we take the people's money, when the contract takes the people's money and then uses that to form a massive liquidity pool, then throws away the keys so it becomes an ownerless liquidity pool. That ownerless liquidity pool proves the value of that token. So you can try to pump and dump it, but that's going to be a huge risk for anybody doing that. And you wouldn't be able to dump it past the point where we started after launch unless you cause other people that bought during launch to sell as well, which most likely isn't going to happen. If you look at HEX, for instance, 85% of HEX was staked after the first 2 months of launch. So if this is anything like that, and why wouldn't it be? Because the entire point of the token is to get interest through staking. So this is something that is going to be a lot more stable than people are used to in cryptocurrency. But the thing is, while it has stability to the downside because it has that huge pool of money backing it, it still has the same upside potential as any other cryptocurrency. And that basically comes from everybody who uses it, because every single person who decides to take money out of their bank account or their other cryptos and put it into Wise, that increases the market cap for Wise, which, since we have a limited amount of supply, will increase, will factor into supply and demand, raising the price. So as long as right now there isn't mass crypto adoption.
Mm-hmm.
From now until the point where there is mass crypto adoption, there's huge opportunities for people to make exponential returns in crypto. Because every single person who takes their money that's not in crypto and puts it into crypto raises the market cap of that crypto for everyone. I think some people don't understand it. They're like, well, crypto is just fake money. You're just printing it out of thin air. It can't have any value. Well, that might be true until someone takes their money and puts it into crypto. Then it has value. And the more people that do that, the more it can go up potentially. So the whole point of Wise is to be a very low downside risk, very high upside potential token. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So in addition to that, I guess another question that people have been having is how is this token looking with legal compliance? Like, is this something that you're doing all by yourself, or do you have a team of people that are looking over this to make sure it kind of fits the regulations?
Yeah, so we do have a team. We have a developer team. We also do have legal counsel. I'm not going to say team because I haven't I haven't hired them to be on my team, but I do have legal counsel.
Mm-hmm.
So we are similarly compliant to HEX in that we don't. Well, first of all, it's not an ICO because it will be 100% completed project upon launch, so it'll be done. What you're paying for is exactly what you're getting. Also, the fact that it's a tool for people to use. There's no action or work that gets done by us after launch. When I say us, I mean me as the creator and the dev team. And so because of that, it's not in violate, like it's not a security and it's not in violation of any securities laws. Also, we've gone to great lengths to make sure that like even the details are right. Like, for instance, HEX, after a stake ends and you don't mint it, and if nobody else does accounting for you, then you will begin to lose percentages of that stake over time. You'll lose money if it's not minted. Wise was able to actually solve that issue so that there's no penalties. It doesn't matter how long your stake goes, because the second your stake ends, the shares get removed from the pool. So it doesn't matter if people mint it or now, or as soon as the stake ends, or 10 years down the road. It's not going to affect that, and that's an important thing, because it's actually illegal to take people's money away if they're deceased. So, for instance, if somebody created a stake and then they passed away, and their family members didn't have access, or there was some legal things, and they didn't end the stake when the stake ended. In HEX, you could be losing money from that stake, and that's actually illegal to for that to happen. And in Wise, you can mint it anytime you want. It's going to be there for you. So we've gone to great lengths to be legally compliant. I'm also applying to the SEC for a no action letter. And basically, we just there's a section on the SEC where you can apply. You basically show your project to the SEC, and if you qualify, they will basically put out a statement saying, "Hey, we are not pursuing any action towards you this time. We think you're compliant." And there's been a couple other cryptos that have successfully done that. And because of the way we are creating Wise, I believe we will be able to get that as well. Now, if we don't, it doesn't mean we're in violation. And also, at the end of the day, here, this is a smart contract. It's completely immutable. No matter what, nobody can change it. So once we upload it to the Ethereum network, it's going to be there. It's going to be there for people to use. And so it's not like something where even if the government were to decide, oh, Wise is the worst thing on the planet, I mean, it's not like you can do anything about it once it's uploaded to the network. It's a smart contract, completely immutable, and it's going to still allow people to use it. So I'm not worried about it from that perspective. I want to be compliant, and I'm jumping through all the hoops just because I want to be able to be compliant, but I'm not worried about not checking those boxes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So it sounds like everything's in pretty good working order in terms of the team and the legality. So I guess two more questions, and then we can kind of wrap this up. And so, what are some of the ways that you think will help the token become widely adopted? Like, are you guys doing advertising campaigns? Are there like fun, like referrals, anything like that?
Yeah. So this is actually kind of interesting. This was completely unique. And so I actually have some backgrounds in marketing. I worked for a startup company that was marketing a third-party chat app for games. And I built a network of 100,000 people organically using no money, just by reaching out to other YouTubers in a matter of like 4 months. So I've got some good, boots on ground knowledge of how to do it this way, and some experience. Because since there's no founders fee, and I'm not taking any off the top, I'm not getting any kickbacks when people stake or something like that. There's no founders fee, so there's no incentive for me to pay out tons of money to market Wise token. There's just as much incentive for me to do that as anybody else who would invest in the product as well. So instead, what we did is we created an amazing, really juicy referral program. And so I am counting 100% on the referral program to be able to blow this thing up. And now, of course, like, I'm not just building it and expecting people to come. Right now, I do have actually 2 marketing companies engaged. With I'm paying for their services right now. One of them is running our social media stuff and creating articles about our token, and it's going to be generating buzz and sending people into our Telegram group. And then the second one is specifically helping me approach YouTubers, because I think the biggest win we could get for the token is to have a half a dozen or more YouTubers who are excited about Wise and are using their referral links to promote it and to educate people on why Wise is better and why they're excited about it, because that will make this thing blow up. And that's why I made the referral program so juicy. And so people like yourself really stand to benefit. I'd like to talk a little bit. Do you mind if I go into the referral program a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's 2 phases to our referral program. The first phase is during launch, when we have the 50 million tokens that are being distributed. The point is for people to send in Ethereum and send in as much Ethereum as possible. That's my goal, because the more Ethereum that people send, the more expensive our token ends up being, and the bigger pot of money we have, the bigger ownerless pot of money we have on the exchange. That pot of money, how big it is really important to me, because the bigger it is, tells us how much we can grow from there. Because if we raise, $2 million per se, then this project can grow to maybe, $50 million before the ownerless liquidity pool is like, oh, that's so small, it's not really a big deal anymore. So the bigger amount of liquidity we get during that launch phase kind of sets the precedent for how big we can grow after that. So I obviously want to grow as big as possible. And so during that phase, during those 50 days, everybody who uses a referral link will get a 10% bonus in Ethereum when they send Ethereum. And all the sponsors who are promoting their referral link, for anybody that sends money in, they get a direct 10% commission. So if you refer $100,000, you're getting $10,000 back in Wise, which of course you could switch to Ethereum instantly if you wanted to, because all the liquidity is going to be there on Uniswap. So it's not like you're getting a trash token that you can't cash out of. You can cash out of it immediately. So 10% commission is pretty amazing, especially for a product this good. The next part of the referral program is the circulation phase. So obviously, once launch ends, you don't send Ethereum to the contract anymore. You just go straight to Uniswap and buy it there. So there's no way to get a referral off that. But during the circulation phase, the same referral links you use will also reward you when those people use the referral link to stake. And the way staking works is that it gives you interest every single day for your stake, depending on how much you're staking and for how long you're staking. When somebody stakes with a referral link, it also gives the sponsor shares, and it allows you to make residual income over time. So somebody that you tell about Wise, first of all, you can get 10% of whatever they send to the contract during the launch phase. And then for life, whatever they stake, you are going to get residual income from that for as long as they're staking. Because every time they stake, they give you shares, and those shares determine how much interest you're getting every single day. I think that's super exciting because there's, residual income is where it's at. More like people want residual income. I was just looking at this YouTuber the other day who was in Finance 1.0. He has like $100,000 in stocks, and he was making this YouTube video because he was so excited that now that he has $100,000 in these stocks, he's so excited because his dividends every month went over $300. So he has $100,000 and he's only getting $300 a month in dividends, and he's super excited about that. I think something like Wise can blow that out of the water, and you don't even need $100,000 to do it. You just need to tell someone why the system is good, and when they use your link to do it, that could be providing you residual income every single day for the rest of your life. That's really exciting to me, and I can't wait. I'm going to be promoting my referral link as much as I can as well, because this is extra juicy.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely something that shouldn't be overlooked. Is like the residual income from everything, the staking and the referrals, and just the coin itself can be pretty good. It has a lot of potential. I definitely think so. So I guess to end off here, are there any like milestones or things to look forward to? I know you guys just finished your website launch, so that's great, and you have your testnet out. So what's the next thing to look forward to, and is there anything else, like a final word that you wanted to give?
Yeah, sure. So first, I think you asked me last time about, I thought it was a really good question. Why would anybody buy a Wise token after launch? And so I'd like to touch that a little bit.
Okay.
And because it's a really good question, and there's a lot of other projects where it's like after their ICO is done or after their pre-launch is done, it's a really bad deal and there's no really good reason to buy it. Wise has two amazing reasons to buy after our launch ends. The first one we just went over, it's the referral program. But the second one is the fact that we are still an extremely fair system that gives you interest. So So Wise is an inflationary system, just like most money systems and most cryptos, in fact, including Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin is a little bit different because because the amount of mining is ending, but it's still inflating. It's just inflating by less and less and less. The U.S. dollar is an inflationary system, but the only reason it's a bad inflationary system, or bad for you and me, is because the Fed prints that extra money, but they give it to the banks and the financial system. It wouldn't be bad if it were going directly into your pocket. And so that's pretty much what Wise is. Wise is an inflationary system where, yes, it inflates the supply over time, but the extra supply that it creates, it goes directly into the pockets of people who are staking and referring, and nobody else. There isn't any founder's fee. And so just the fact that it's a system that preserves the value of your money and gives you an ROI if you use the system properly to stake it, that's a huge reason to invest, whether it's before launch, after launch, or any time during the circulation phase from now until forever. Yeah, so I think that really sets us apart from a lot of other cryptocurrencies and a lot of other projects who have a super hyped launch phase, some type of pump and dump, and then why would anybody buy after that?
Yeah.
So what was the last question?
So I guess are there any other milestones to look forward to? Because you guys just launched your website, you have your Ropsten demo out. Is there are we just looking at the launch of the project next? And is there any final word that you wanted to cover?
Yeah. So final thing on our roadmap is the audits. And so once we complete those audits, so I believe we just about decided on Coin Fabric. We were looking at like 5 or 6 of them, and right now it's between Consensus Diligence and Coin Fabric. But once we have those audits, those will be posted on our website documentation page as well. We're also doing extensive testing of our own just to make sure everything is fine-tuned properly. But that is pretty much the last landmark before we open the project. And so as far as closing marks, what I want people to know is that there's no company behind me or what I'm doing. I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel who really loves crypto, loves staking systems in particular. And because I didn't see one that really that seemed worth it to me, and I decided to make my own. So I think that it's kind of ridiculous that we have this system called blockchain technology, which allows us to create economic systems of money that have 0% overhead. And I think it's ridiculous that there aren't a lot more fairer systems out there. That's what I've been waiting for years. Because financial systems like Bank of America, Chase Bank, and even your federal credit unions, who are supposed to be for the people and better for you, they kind of stink. And they stink because, first of all, they've got executives that want a paycheck, they've got investors that want a paycheck, they've got stockholders that want dividends, they have got tons of overhead from running brick and mortar buildings, from having employees. There's a ton of inefficiency in that system. Blockchain technology allows you to create a system exactly like that, or even much, much better, and it costs you 0 overhead money. All it costs you is, you got to create it in the first place, but once you upload it to the network and it's live, it costs you no money at all. The economic fuel for making things happen in Wise is simply by people paying gas fees on the Ethereum network. So you pay a couple cents to do every single action, which means we have infinite scalability. We can have billions of people using Wise, and it's not going to hurt the system at all because everybody pays their own weight, and it's only a few cents every single transaction. So we have this ability to create these things that are 100% efficient, that cost 0 overhead. And do we have a lot of efficient cryptos out there? No, we have a lot of greedy cryptos out there, because everybody who makes a crypto is making it to get rich, and they put in some type of founder's fee. They want to make sure that they get rich first before everybody else does. And I think that's the wrong way to go about it. I think there's a much bigger opportunity by making something that is actually fair, that is actually useful, and that actually has incredible value to the everyday user. And then sky's the limit. So that's kind of what I wanted to leave everybody with.
Very cool. All right, so there you have it, guys. It's Peter, the founder of the WISE token. If you guys are interested in hearing more, obviously I'm going to make more content about it, but you guys can also head over to the website, which is wisetoken.net. It will be linked down below. And I guess thanks for having this interview.
Absolutely, man. I'm really excited about how you're going to do, because you were the first committed YouTuber. And even though you don't have like 300,000 subscribers, you have a dedicated fan base, and you do really good with referrals anyway. So I'm really excited to see like what you're gonna do, and I can't wait to make content about you.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. We'll definitely look forward to seeing how far WISE can go, and like overall, like for me, it's not even like about the referrals, but like if the project is sound and the project is good, then it's gonna do good regardless of who's talking about it. So, but either way, I'm excited, but with kind of both things on that end.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you.